Good evening, all. Welcome to the 83rd day of High Performance Entrepreneurship Series. This session is brought to you by Tumawak. Tumawak is a community which aims to impact 100 million entrepreneurs around the world. And I would like to thank all the volunteers who are making this happen. And as we always tell, dream big, aim high, start small. Start very small so that you can easily focus on what you're doing. Start very small so that you can easily build a relationship, build a discipline on what you're doing. Start very small so that you can easily master what you're doing. Once you do these three things, you're ready to be a scalable startup. And that is when your journey as a high performance entrepreneur starts. We are here to help you in that journey. And Tumawax conducts Power Morning in 3 time zones. UAE time zone 5, everything is at 5 a.m., led by my habit coach Fanaki Handria. So you can have your Power Morning in LinkedIn in Tumawak page from 5 a.m. UAE time, 5 a.m. Indian time, and 5 a.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time. And today I have a special guest. I'm crazy about entrepreneurship. I was crazy about doing business from like when I was very small, when I was in my school itself. And after that, I've done around 11 businesses. Kind of failed in 11. I had one of my very successful startup farm gym, which was Startup of the Year 2018. We had won a lot of awards in 2018, 19, and all. And I had to close down that in this year, Jan. It's kind of in a sleep mode because it's my dream. 2, 3 weeks back, I met someone and I was speaking to them. And I heard the wisdom of entrepreneurship there. And that was 50 plus years of entrepreneurship journey. And I'm very happy to have that person here as the guest today. And we all get that wisdom of 50 plus years. And to take this meeting forward, I have someone who is very passionate, and I'm sure she's going to make a mark in the entrepreneurship or startup ecosystem very soon. She's my habit coach and has a very beautiful voice. And she is from Madagascar. And I never knew about a country like that. And it's a very beautiful country. And to take this meeting forward, I would like to call the moderator of the day, Fanaki Handria. Fanaki, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Kabir, and welcome everyone to our session today. And the topic is never take no for an answer. All right, so today we have an amazing speaker. Her name is Patty Kennedy, and she is the founder and CEO at Kennedy Communication Studio International. And she's also a best-selling author. And we are looking forward to listening to her about why we should never take no for an answer. So without further ado, Patty Kennedy, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you very, very much, both of you, for inviting me here this evening. And welcome to all of you who are listening to us this evening. I am a Canadian. I am living here in Dubai, and I am the proud owner of a little studio called Kennedy Communication Studio International. And I want to talk to you today. My talk is called Never Take No for an Answer. And these are lessons that I have learned. Now, you can't see me, but you see I'm an older lady now, and I have been an entrepreneur all my professional life. For 52 years, to be honest. And to be really frank with you, we didn't use this fancy French word entrepreneur when I started out. We were freelancers, we were self-employed. There was very little in Canada, there was very little in place for us in terms of creating a pension fund. Anything like that was way out of reach for us. It was quite odd that people were entrepreneurs. But I started out and I've never looked back, and I feel every day of my life blessed that I have been able to work for myself. So today I want to, when I say never take no for an answer, this is basically based on lessons that I have learned over all of these years. And so when people ask me, what is the biggest lesson I've learned as a self-employed person, I always reply, I have learned to never take no for an answer. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some situations sometimes in life when no means no. But when it comes to making your entrepreneurial dream come true, you have to learn to interpret no in different ways. I'm going to tell you a little story. In 2008, I had to leave some very amazing work I was doing in New York City. I had been living in New York since the beginning of 2000, and I was able to land some wonderful contracts as a communication, leadership, and business coach and consultant to many, many international businessmen and women whose work spanned global businesses as well as the professions. And these people came to New York from around the world to improve their international leadership and communication skills, and I loved that work. However, when my dear mom was struck by a car back in Canada, I had to leave New York to take care of her. And perhaps you can imagine my despair, leaving the fast pace of the city that never sleeps to go to a small city on Vancouver Island where it seemed everyone was asleep. And I really had no idea what I was going to do. In New York, I worked out of an office in Midtown Manhattan, right there on 5th Avenue and 45th Street, right smack dab in the middle of it all. And now I found myself in a quaint little city of Victoria, British Columbia. It's a beautiful place, but it's not exactly a capital of business. In fact, Victoria is a city of retired folks and really old people. I got the idea, though, that I would do the same work I had been doing in New York, but now I would do it on Skype. This was in the year 2008. And this way, using Skype, the international clients wouldn't have to pay the huge amount of money of flying to New York, staying in a super expensive hotel, and paying huge fees for their sessions, because the office rent in New York City was $22,000 US a month. And so that meant that the fees had to be high. And I realized that if they worked with me on Skype, they could take their sessions in the privacy of their own offices or homes at a time that best suited them. I thought it was a brilliant idea, and I began writing up the marketing copy that reflected these important benefits. Now, as I say, you have to remember, this was 2008, way before the pandemic, and no one was using technology to conduct coaching and consulting sessions. Nonetheless, I was convinced. But no one in my circle of colleagues and friends was. We have that expression, if I had $1 for every time. So if I had $1 for every time that someone close to me told me that I was crazy and that my idea was just plain stupid, I could have retired on the spot. Even my brother, whose opinion mattered so much to me since he was the CEO of an international company, told me that my idea was one of the stupidest ideas he had ever heard of. He said that no one would ever buy such a service. And I went to the bank for a little startup for my great idea, and they literally laughed at me and just looked at me like I had 4 heads. But here's the secret. You see, I couldn't, or maybe I just wouldn't hear them. I couldn't accept their lack of vision. I knew in my heart and soul that I was onto something. I knew I was being a disruptor in an industry that had always done things a certain way. I knew I was threatening the status quo. And I also knew that I was right. Only my dear old mom believed in me. And so in late 2008, I opened the virtual arm of Kennedy Communications Studio. And do you know what? Within 5 short years, that little studio had reached clients in over 90 countries. And as I said earlier, today I live in Dubai. My studio has now received international recognition, and I have coached people virtually from well over 100 countries. I think it's up around in the 120 countries now, all from an idea when everybody said no, and I said, no, I'm not going to believe it. Maybe sometimes you have to pivot. Maybe your idea isn't exactly the way it's going to work out, but if you feel it in your heart and soul, you've got to stick to it. So here's some lessons I learned. I just want to share them with you quickly. Never accept no as an answer. Sometimes no doesn't mean no. Sometimes it just means not yet. Persistence pays off big time. Don't give up on yourself and your service or your product. Gail Casper says that persistence is a confident refusal to accept no for an answer. I agree, 100%. You have to believe in yourself and your product or your service. And this one's really important. Remember that family and friends love you to the moon and back, and they don't want to see you disappointed. So they often tell you you can't do what you're dreaming of. Just thank them and appreciate them for their loving advice and carry on. Hold your head high, keep your heart full of desire, and just keep on moving forward. Practice your pitch. Does your pitch have a story? Is your language clear enough for your prospect to actually see what you're saying? In the English language, when we fully understand each other, we say, I see what you mean. If we say, I think I know what you mean, we the pitcher, have not been clear enough. Is your ask clear? Get your courage, stand in your bravery, and ask for what you want. Are you conveying self-confidence? Are you presenting yourself and your business in such a way that your prospects actually really believe in you? Practice your pitch over and over again in front of a mirror. Make sure that you appear confident and capable. Practice seeing yourself having already accomplished your goal. And in today's world, this one is so important. I've been in business for a long time, so old school was I would talk about my company and my product, my service, but now I can't talk about that anymore. I have to address my prospects' needs and their pain. And am I offering solutions that will help that prospect succeed? Because we only succeed as entrepreneurs when our clients succeed. All of these points will help you get to your yes. If you have a big goal, a big dream, go for it with all of your heart. Many people say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to work when I want and I'll be my own boss. And I got news for you. I work when my clients need me. I'm my own boss in that, I write my own programs. I'm the CEO, the CFO, the CIO, the COO. I'm the entire C-suite all in one because I'm a solopreneur. But I work when my clients need me and I give them what they need. They are my boss. I'm not really my boss. Got to remember that. A lot of people make the mistake. Being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. It's tough. You'll get very familiar with 3 o'clock in the morning, especially in the early days when you get scared. What am I going to do? This isn't working. I need clients, but the bank account is empty. All kinds of things. You're in charge. But this old quotation of Henry Ford emphasizes how much your attitude will determine your success or failure. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Believe that you can, and you will. That's my beginning advice. Now, I've given some questions to our dear moderator today, and I'm willing to take questions and to talk. I mean, it's a wide open subject with so many things to talk about. But I'm here to serve, and I'm here to listen, and I'm here to share my very long experience as an entrepreneur. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty, for sharing your inspiring experience. Wow, I really enjoyed your story, and I'm really now very motivated on my journey. But I have a question. When did you know that you were going to be an entrepreneur? Like, how did you know about that? Can you share that?
I think I knew all my life. First of all, how did I start coaching 52 years ago when there were no business coaches? I'm a Canadian, as I said, and most Canadians, if you're boys, you play hockey on the ice, and if you're girls, you figure skate. And I trained as an Olympic figure skater. I missed the Olympic team by just 1/10 of a point. And I went on at that point. I turned professional and I began coaching. But I knew as a little girl what I wanted to do. And you know, my mom, she was a single mom. She raised 4 kids. And in those days, in the 60s, my skating coach was making $10 an hour in 1960. So that's a lot of money to be making back then. So I knew if I stuck to it, I would have a career. And all coaches back then, of course, were entrepreneurs or self-employed, as we called ourselves. So I knew all my life that that was my future. I was one of the highest qualified skaters in Canada. And I had the equivalent of basically 3 PhDs by the time I finished, because all the exams I had passed. So I always knew my dad was an entrepreneur, and incidentally, my son is an entrepreneur. So I always knew I was going to work for myself.
Wow, really amazing. We can really see that vision is really the first step towards success. And yes, as you said, we have to be persistent. Your story truly inspires. I hope everyone just get inspired by you. And so I would like a virtual applause for our amazing speaker for today for sharing such amazing story where we can look like, yes, really, if you have a vision, if you have a dream, go for it. That's really.
You have to go for it. And one last thing that's really important, you have to be really honest with yourself. For example, now at my age, I might still want to have the dream of being an Olympic medal winner, but it's not going to happen. Now that's an extreme, but I can't all of a sudden just make up a new dream and say I'm going to go for it. And I don't think that dreams have to be realistic per se. I'm with Bob Proctor in that I think your dream should scare you to death. It should scare you, but it should also make you want to get up in the morning and get to work. But it's really important because you have to have grit. You've got to be so strong to endure the life of an entrepreneur. Are you really doing your heart's desire? Because if you're not going to be able to withstand. And so many young entrepreneurs, and even a business partner I had, the only business partner I ever had, he thought being an entrepreneur was going to be, as we say, the life of Riley. And he failed because he couldn't understand how hard you have to work. Yes, we work smart. I'm a little bit put off by people today saying, oh, you don't have to work hard, you just work smart. No, you have to do both. You got to work hard. I'm from the old school, there's no free lunch. You got to work for what? You got to give to get. Let me put it that way.
Well, that's pretty good. But tell me, like, for example, right now, if you are going to give me 3 things for entrepreneurs to succeed, what will you suggest then?
Number 1, you have to be resilient and persistent. You might want to, if you haven't, you might want to read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You have to have a burning desire. If you do not have a burning desire, you will not be able to endure. You have to have faith. You have to believe. You've got to be able to bounce back. You don't take no for an answer. You don't let it knock you over. You say, maybe, let me think about it. Maybe I have to pivot. Maybe it means not now. So resilience and persistence. Number 2, business, I don't care how much technology we have. I don't care if you have a product or a service. Business is about relationships. You've got to be customer centric, meaning you've got to make sure that you are listening to what your client or clients need. You must build a product or service that solves a real problem for them. You've got to always be getting feedback. Listen to your customers. Be willing to adapt your offerings based on their preferences and recommendations. And the third one, is you got to keep learning and you got to keep adapting. And I'm turning 71 in a week or two, and I'm so happy to say that I'm actually teaching my students who are in their 30s and 40s. Don't be afraid of ChatGPT. I've been coached since I was 10 years of age. I still have coaches. I have books everywhere around me. I'm always reading. I'm always studying. It's really important. So as entrepreneurs, we never get to the top of the game until the game is over. And that game will be over when I take my last breath and when I go home to my maker. Keep learning.
Wow, we really have an amazing person right here. And I can't wait to meet you. Maybe we will have sometimes to meet together. And so, yeah.
That would be
That's
lovely.
Amazing. All right, so now we have another person in our panelist. It's the one and only one, Dr. Chris. If you attended our session recently, he's always there and he's always sharing something amazing. And today he's going to share something as well. Well, if you don't know him yet, he's a lawyer, practicing hypnotherapist with a doctorate in media psychology as well, and an author, having penned over 67 books and selected as one of the 100 best Indian authors twice. And of course, also he is winner of Rabindranath Tagore Award for Literature. Not only that, but we always know him by his wonderful voice, because he is a telecine actor, over 20 movies in Malayalam, Tamil, lot of languages, and mentor with Little Big Theatre by Kalanyalam. And as you already know, you may heard him, he is a dubbing artist, corporate trainer, award-winning radio jock with an experience of over 15,000 hours on air on radio, Malayalam, Tamil, and Hindi. So in general, he's a voice artist in over 6 languages and voiced over 12,000 ads and voice coach for actors at Neo Film School, Kochi. And still a lot of things, like he has 5,000 student coach till the date. And he's an avid YouTuber and motivational speaker. We can't wait to hear from you, Dr. Chris. Do you have a question? Do you want to share experience?
Yeah, thank you very much, Vaniki. First of all, Patty, advance happy birthday wishes. May you have long years filled with a lot of success, and really wish from the bottom of my heart many more happy returns of the day. As we go on the topic, never take no for an answer. Before sharing anything, I would like to ask Patty, because her experience speaks for herself, and it's more on a question which I have, rather than looking at the no from the others, the negation from the environment, society, friends, or clients, or how important is the self-affirmation and negation? Many a times we hear the no from ourselves. No, I don't want to do it. So what do we do about that?
Thank you, Dr. Chris. I've been looking forward to meeting you, and as a fellow radio journalist, you have such a lovely voice. That's the most important thing. And I think that's what I mean when I say, are you really being honest with yourself? We have to know, it's got to be a feeling that comes so strong in our heart, in our soul, in our mind, and that no matter what happens, we keep saying, I can do this, I am doing this, this is what I love. So yes, I mean, in the few minutes I had, I didn't have enough time really to go into that, but you're absolutely correct. It's got to start with self-knowledge, self-honesty, self-love, and self-belief. Otherwise, you can't get up every day and do it.
Can you suggest a few methods, or I would like rather to put it as few practices with which we can stop this self-negation?
Absolutely. It's something that I offer all the time to my clients, both men and women, and most particularly women. I ask my clients to begin to understand what they have to know, what they hold to be true, beautiful, and good about themselves. So I have my clients, first men and women, but particularly with women, to do some stream of consciousness kind of writing, no editors allowed, because the editor always wants to say, no, you can't say that, no, that's stupid. You got to get rid of that editor, put the editor away. And you finish this sentence: these things about me I know to be true. And then you make a list, and every new part of the list must start with I am. I am brilliant. I am confident. I am capable. I am able. I am love. I am kind. Whatever it is you want to do. It's one of the oldest exercises in the world. And that's really important. And then once you've written it, then I ask my clients to please stand up and declare it to the world. Now, when they're in a group class, they are to stand up and to declare it. But when they're working on their own, I ask them then to write this every day. I write it every day. I've been doing it for years. And I keep it with me. I don't have to have the paper with me anymore because I know them. But several times a day, I go through this. Sometimes in the morning, while I'm getting ready for my day, and I'm in front of my mirror and I'm getting ready and I'm doing my I ams. Very, very important to continually, because I'm sure you know this, that we have more conversations with ourselves than we do with anyone else. And somehow science has been able to determine that 85% of that self-talk is negative. Now why is it so much? Because we have been repeating it forever. I'm no good. Gee, I'm stupid. And the whole world is out there ready to say, you can't do that. That's a stupid idea. Who do you think you are? The whole world is out there, it seems. And they don't do it to be mean. I think people do it to try to protect us. So we have to practice repetition of changing that paradigm, changing that self-image, as Maxwell Maltz talks about in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics. We've got to change that around so that we are wearing the I am. And I say to my clients, write it down. Even if you don't believe it at this moment, you write it down and repeat it every day. It's so important to do that. So that's number one. It's a little trinity, I call it, the trinity of self-awareness and self-love. The second thing is especially for women, again, because a lot of my work is for women, but I ask men to do it as well. But for the women who are listening, I heard recently, I was speaking on an event, and the woman who spoke before me said that when interviewed, only 4% of women will admit that they're beautiful. And this just brought tears to my eyes as I was sitting there, because I've always asked my students, what do I know to be true, beautiful, and good about myself? So the second question is, now I ask my students to get into their beauty. I love the beautiful way in which. So for me, I love the beautiful way in which I talk to my clients, the way I listen to my clients. I love the beautiful way in which I love my family. I love the beautiful way in which, and just fill that in. It's a little bit difficult. I don't think there's anything wrong with men doing that. I read a study not long ago that 8 out of 10 CEOs, male CEOs, interviewed admitted to having no self-love, and that they felt this is what was opening the door to their narcissism. So we all need to practice self-love. I think that's what we're doing here, is to learn self-love. I think it's the hardest thing we have to learn. And then the third thing is for us to acknowledge what is inherently good in ourselves and what is inherently good in the world. Especially in these times, the world is so complicated, so much strife in the world. So these are exercises, these are self-awareness exercises. I'm sure most of the people on the call would agree with me that self-awareness is really where it's at in today's world. We really need to be focusing on that. I don't mean to be self-centered in the I way, but we need to be aware of ourselves, what we're doing on the planet, who we are, and the gifts that we bring. If the great good Lord would give me 10 more years to do what I've been doing for the last 52 years, I will be the happiest person around, because I want to get to my maker and say, you know, all those gifts you gave me, I gave them all away. That's what I want. And if you want to send me back, fill me back up, send me back, I'll go. But I want to go home with my tank empty and all my love given away. Of course, I'll be so full of love from giving away all my love. But those are the things. And I think we need to discipline ourselves. I am. Men and women should do that, because then when you hear yourself saying, well, that was a stupid idea, you go, no. I'm really smart. That's a signal for me to turn left, but I'm brilliant. Whatever it is that you want to tell yourself. So it's a long-winded answer. When you ask me these questions now, you can tell I get a little passionate. So I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry for going on and on.
Well, Patty, I really feel that you have passed on the passion to us. Now we will also start the same thing. I would ask you another query which comes to my mind as a psychologist. There is the art of persuasion. The art of persuasion, there is a technique wherein you make a person answer 3 times, asking common questions, and he says yes. The 4th one, naturally, he tends to say yes. So is that a technique which you can apply? I have applied it on marketing and sales. I've applied it on passing on ideas. But how far can you do it on a large scale or to yourself?
You know, I'm not familiar with this technique of persuasion.
Right. They say, if I'm asking you, the night is very beautiful. Then the other person says yes. Then I say, I think it's going to be pleasant all night. So the other person says yes. And the third thing I ask him, like, you're looking very beautiful. So he says, oh, thank you. Then I say, our product is the best. Then his mind starts saying yes. So that's the art of persuasion as per technique. This works about, say, 80 to 90% of the time. Very rarely it fails. But I find it difficult with my patients, as well as certain people whom I have trained. They say that it doesn't work on self and it doesn't work on certain people. That's why I had that question, because the art of persuasion is also another aspect which never take for no for an answer, because you can convert a no to a yes.
Well, that's a really interesting question and a really interesting process to go through. I guess for me, what first comes up, and I hope I'm understanding what you're saying properly, I really want people to be authentic. And this word now, what does authentic mean anymore? You know, people use it, they bounce that word around. But I really think that when we stand from our own truth, this is a big part of my work, is to stand on your truth and speak from there and go into the world from there. So I think that could be a really interesting idea. But for me, I'm really sensitive to any kind of coercion or even trickery. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to feel like I'm forcing them to say yes in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know enough about that technique actually to give you I'm realizing as I'm stumbling towards enlightenment here, to give a proper answer. I just want people, this is my whole passion, Dr. Chris, is I want people to move in the world in their own beautiful way, the way that they were born. I want people to find their truth, to live their truth. So if they think my product is the best or my service is the best, you better believe I'm happy. But I want them to come to that not from me asking questions so much, but from them and the results that they're getting and the vibration, we could say, that they're getting. So I don't know if I'm answering your question properly. I really need to do a little bit of work, and obviously I got some continuous learning to do on that. But it's very interesting. Very interesting question.
Thanks, Patty. And I really feel I also resonate on the same idea where you say that I want all of my clients as well as my students, my friends, or everyone to be true to themselves. But still, when the art of persuasion comes, I find a lot of people using it for their benefit. Another aspect I would like to share, like taking no for an answer, never taking no for an answer, is about the concept of affirmation. When you said I am, I really respect that. And for affirmations, as per these studies on psychology or the psyche of a human mind, they say the mind does not understand the words no, not, don't. So if I want to be rich, I should not be affirming that I don't want to be poor, because the mind only then understands being poor. So the affirmations should never have a no. So I would add that topic also to this, because never take no inside an affirmation, where if I want to be rich, I should be bold enough to say that, yeah, I'm worthy of it and I want to be rich. And I'm worthy of it. I want to be successful. It is not the affirmation should not be such that when you say, I don't want to fail, where you're focusing more on the failure than on the success. So I really look up to that topic where never take no for an answer and never take no into your affirmation. I'd really love to listen to your take on this.
Well, I agree with you 100%, because the law of vibration vibrates not to our words, but to our feelings. Let me tell you just a little story. Now, if I don't know, because many of you come from a country where you don't have figure skating, but, you know, we're on the ice and we're on those skinny little blades and we do these amazing jumps, and when you fall it really hurts. And so if you've ever seen an Olympic figure skater or a world-class figure skater, I knew from the time I was 10, if you want to do that very difficult jump, your coach teaches you to sit down and visualize over and over. And if you fall doing the jump in the visualization, you do it again. And you continue to do it again until you have a series of positive results, simply because the nervous system and the subconscious mind do not tell the difference between positive or negative. You know that. The subconscious mind believes whatever you tell it. So we train the central nervous system to get the feeling of that success. So I've known all my life the power of visualization. You're absolutely right. If you put, I don't want to be poor, as I understand in really simple terms, then the universe, for lack of a better word, will say, oh, you want to be poor. It does not relate to the negative. You must be positive. And, you know, that comes back into that real positive self-affirmation. We have told ourselves enough now about the negative, and it comes true. Oh, I can't afford to go on that trip. Well, okay, if you can't afford to go on the trip, then you're not going to go on the trip. But if you say, and as Bob Proctor would say, well, you don't need the money right now because you're not going on the trip right now. But when you make the decision to go on the trip, the money will come. We have to believe. And it's got to be realistic. I don't think people make their futures on winning the lottery. I mean, I think this is, you got to be a little bit more real with yourself. But it's not an affirmation if it has a no in it. That's not an affirmation. Now we're back to the good old self-talk. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. I can't do enough. I'm stupid. Who does she think she is? Where I can't do that. No. It's got, because the universe in the law of vibration, and you all know, I'm certain that the law of vibration. Everybody talks about the law of attraction, and the law of attraction is a secondary law. The primary law is the law of vibration, and the law of vibration doesn't care what your words are. The law of vibration is according to your feelings, because it's your feelings that are the vibration. Now, if you keep saying I can't do it, then obviously that's what you're feeling. So you've got to really get invested in this positive affirmation. I can do it. And understand what we learned as young athletes, that you see it over and over again, that you see yourself doing it well. It's very important to visualize you having already reached the success. Don't visualize like, oh, when I get successful, I'm going to. No, no, no. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a successful businesswoman running my own company in Dubai. I had this written down on a goal card, and I read that goal card several times a day. I had one in my bathroom, I had one in my purse, I had one on my desk, and I read it 100 times a day. And it has to be as if it's already happened, because that's the vibration. Everything is vibrating. If you want to move into, forget the law of attraction. For me, the law of attraction is about what I'm going to get. The law of vibration is about what you give. And you must give to get. You must serve to deserve.
Thank you very much, Patty. I really am inspired, and I'm sure that from now on, it'll be the law of vibration which rules everyone who's listening today. Thank you.
Thank you, too. Thank you for your great questions.
Well, thank you so much. It's really impressive and very motivating for all the entrepreneurs out there. Because all of the things you said, all the, I would say, like tips you shared, all the things you were talking about is just what people need to hear right now. And so, yes, thank you so much, Dr. Chris, for your question, because it just enriched our conversation and give us more perspective, more subject, and more experience from her. And yes, you are just I think, Paddy, you are just here to show that, yes, every dream can come true. With faith, your burning desire can come true. With faith, with courage, with believe in yourself, with resilience. So yes, if everyone here just believe, and you will see your dream come true. Well, now we open up the floor for questions from all the audience. Maybe you have a specific question or you would like to share experience. We have a lot of people right here now. We are welcoming Beatrice James. Beatrice James, hello.
Hello, Faniki. How are you? Thank you so much for hosting this wonderful, wonderful session. And thank you, everyone. Dr. Chris, Patty, your insights were really, really helpful. And but my question is, you spoke on the self-talk and your affirmations or the vibrations. But my question is, how do you, or what do you recommend ways to free your mind of negative, I would say, baggage, the thoughts that come continuously? I mean, the affirmations you hold up do eventually replace them, but for clearing your mind, what do you recommend to get to that point? Is it the affirmations? Or?
Thank you. I love that question. Thank you so much. Well, of course, it's a good idea to be meditating and to be taking care of your mind in that sense and relaxing your mind. We live in a time of overthinking, and many of us do overthink. But, the part of the story that you don't know, and I didn't have time to go into, is that the reason I retired from coaching and from professional skating as well as coaching was because I ended up very, very disabled. And to make the long story short, I ended up in a wheelchair, and then I was on the crutches, and then I was on the canes, and everybody was saying, Patty, you're never going to work again. And the problem with you, Patty, is you won't accept your story. And I'm like, but I wouldn't believe it. I always thought there was something more. So somewhere along in my life there, I learned about a very simple technique called cognitive restructuring. Now, this was in the very early days of cognitive restructuring. It really means catching your cognitive thinking process and making a switch right away. So in those days, I'm sure there's much more sophisticated ways of doing it than I did, but I put an elastic around my wrist. And every time I heard myself or felt myself going down that rabbit hole, I can't, it's not going to work, nobody knows the trouble I've seen, I'd just snap that little elastic and it would give you just a little second of pain. And then I would flip it right away. Now, this took me a long time. And today, I don't use the elastic. I have, they make nice bracelets now that are beaded and they're on elastic bands. So, but I still have it. And to me, that little trick of cognitive restructuring, and I learned that, I think, in the late 70s. And now the science is real. There's biofeedback and there's all kinds of things. But that, to me, is one of the best little tricks. Now, you've got to understand, you've got to make the decision, first of all, that you want to make this change in your thinking. It's got to be a decision. And once you make that decision, you got to hold firm to that decision. But you also got to be gentle and loving to yourself, because just because you make the decision doesn't mean tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and it's all going to be cool and you're never going to go back. No. I've been practicing this stuff for many years, and I still have to put my little elastic bracelet on sometimes. I still have to do my self-talk. So for me, though, that was one of the really important things that helped me change my thinking. Now, another thing that I did, I got so tired of being told you're disabled. I thought, wait a second, this is one reason why I went into voice work, because I had a voice. No matter how sick I got, I always had this voice. So I trained my voice, and it occurred to me one day, wait a second, you got to use you got to change your narrative to be truthful. I thought, you're not disabled, you're just differently abled. And that word, differently abled, turned my whole head around. And before you knew it, like if you saw me now, okay, sometimes I limp, but for the most part, if you saw me, you'd have no idea that I live with this condition. I still live with it. I got to take medication every night for it because it's a nerve disorder, so I have nerve pain all the time. But I made myself a study of myself, right? And so between the snapping of the elastic, practicing positive affirmations, and consciously flipping the narrative, I am not disabled. Every darn doctor I went to, and I saw experts from around the world, well, you're going to have to accept the fact that you're never going to work. I also spent 25 years traveling around studying with bush doctors and medicine men and women because I didn't believe the doctors. But it was when I began to understand the way I'm telling my story is what's keeping me in this negative frame. I need to flip my narrative, and only I can do that. You can hire a coach, of course, and you need support, but so put an elastic on your wrist. Every time you hear yourself, catch it. It'll take a while. Catch it. Snap that little baby. It'll make you change the way you're thinking about it. Look at the way you're telling your story. How am I telling my story? Because however you're telling your story is how you're living your life. So you've got to be careful of that. Turn that narrative around. And then, as Dr. Chris was so clearly stating about just speaking in a positive way to yourself, even if you don't believe it, just keep, because we are all children of God. We are all children of the great Creator. And if you know Marianne Williamson, the great American writer, she says, we are here to make manifest the glory of God. That's what we're doing here. So let's change our story. Let's get positive. Let's move in the direction. Les Brown, my favorite motivational speaker, starts every speech as, you were born with greatness in you. And your job is to access and grow that greatness. So we change the mindset. We change our narrative. We use a little zapper on the wrist with an elastic to remind us. That's not how I'm thinking. No, don't even say I don't think that way anymore. I can't do it. Snap. This is easy. I can do it. This is easy. I can do it. Changes your neurochemistry.
Great. Thank you so much, Patty. Very helpful. That reminder to flip and change the narrative. I also wanted to share something that was really helpful. One of my coaches, Artie Sharma, and this was so life-changing, just recent. She she said the mind has to be cleared out. And if it's not, it's like having food in the refrigerator, and if it's there a lot, it goes rotten. And so things that are negative in our minds and things that we don't release get clogged up. And you know, so what I did was, well, how do I get that out of her? I know what does it take? She said, and it was just so simple and liberating, just let it go.
Just let it go.
She said, let it go, let the past go. And when she said that, I said, wow. And then I started letting things go, like the past in particular. I felt so lighthearted that I could be in the present.
Yeah.
That was very helpful. I wanted to share that. But thank you so much, Patty. And thank you, everyone, for allowing me to share.
Wow, wow, wow. We really have an amazing talk today. And thank you for all of your questions, because it just enhances the depth and just give more richness to our conversation. So yes, we have an amazing session today, and now I think it's time to wrap up and to have a parting notes from our panelists. We will start with Dr. Chris Venugopal. Your parting.
Thanks, Vaniki. I would love to quote Richard Bach from his book, Illusions. And he says, there is a simple test to check whether your mission on Earth is over. If you're alive, it isn't. So I believe as long as I live, I keep working on myself. As Vaniki, our dear Paddy said, there was a time when I went through pretty hard times, and I never believed I'm less able. I just moved forward. And today, the law of vibration, the affirmations, the I am, and all that is going to be making me a little more richer by the day. And I'm sure each day would be special for me. Thank you very much, Patty, for the insightful and delighted. I'm really delighted that I'm here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Patty, you want to add something?
I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Chris for his comment. That's all. Thank you.
Always welcome. Thank you very much.
And Beatrice, too.
Yes. All right, sure. We can see that you are all a living example of the power of visualization and the power of the dream. Well, Beatrice, your parting notes.
A party note would be to do the mind cleaning. That was one thing that I was not aware, but very helpful. It's energizing, and it's the saying that you can't fill a vase with old liquids. I'm not good with cliches, but you want fresh. So when you're putting your affirmations in, you can also get rid of or let go of, clean up your mind. And ways to do that is just letting go of the past because it's gone. Don't hold on to its baggage. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now we are moving to the parting notes of the amazing speaker herself. So what would you like to share as parting notes? Patty Kennedy, thank you, and your parting notes, please.
Well, I feel like I've talked so much already. I guess my parting note is believe in yourself. Dig deep. As Wayne Dyer said, don't die with the music still in you. If you have a dream and you feel it, just go for it. We have to serve first. This is my philosophy. I think there's even enough science now to begin to back this up. We must give to get. And I'd like to share maybe the last thing with one of my favorite teachers, Miss Mary Morrissey, who's really good at helping people learn how to make their dreams come true, and so we get our big goal and our big worthy goal, and we're moving towards it, and then we know what, but then we say, but how? And Mary Morrissey and Bob Proctor and these coaches, they say, the how is not your business. The what is your business. So think about that. There's a beautiful, I should have had it ready for me. There's a beautiful quotation from a First Nations writer in Canada named Richard Wagamese. He's now passed away, but he's got this, he was an Ojibwe Indian, a certain tribe. And he wrote these morning meditations. And quite often he would write to grandmother. And so this one says, me, meaning Richard. He says, old woman, not grandmother, old woman, sometimes I feel like no matter what I do, Great Spirit is just not listening. And old woman says, Great Spirit, which is what they call God, Great Spirit is always listening. Sometimes we want her, because the old woman refers to Great Spirit as a woman. Sometimes we want her to send a bolt of lightning or a big bag of cash. But most of the time, Great Spirit sends you people. Now, you don't need to worry about how you're going to make your dream come true, because we never go alone. We go out, we have our big what. Hopefully the why is because we want to contribute to the world. We want to make the world. The First Nations people taught me we live today not just for the present generation, but for children not yet born for 7 generations. We live today for those children. So don't worry about the how, because when you think of it, look at us all here today now. How many of us know each other personally? But somehow, here we are, because the great Creator, Great Spirit, God Almighty brings us the people to help us. The how is not our business. That is up to the Great Spirit, or if you want to call it the universe, I don't care what you call it soccer, I don't care what you call it. But there's a force in my mind bigger than us. We put it out there into that law of vibration. Focus on the what. And if your what includes helping make the world a better place, you are vibrating in the right vibration. And I love Stevie Wonder. He said, when you are moving in the positive, your destination is the brightest star. Think of the what. Don't worry about the how.
Thank you so much, Patty, for these very inspiring party notes. And if everyone who is listening is just like me, I will be moved. I'm about to scream like, wow, this is really what I need to hear right now. And so let's not just be happy like not right now and just be motivated only right now and after forget about it. We have to really act towards it. So let's apply everything that she said, because she's really a living example of success. And yes, many happy returns of the day for your birthday in advance, and wishing you all the best. And I hope you will still have more time so that I can spend more time talking with you. I would like to. And so, yes.
Just thank you so much. Thank you so very much, all of you.
We are so pleased to be here with you and to have you. Well, let's move to the party notes of the host himself. Kabir, back to you, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Frankie. Like, there's a bit tears in my eyes. I don't know. I'm very happy and blessed to have been present in this day. Thank you, Patty. I'm a dreamer, but today's session inspired me a lot. Sure, I want to see you. I'll come and see you anyway. Yeah, so I don't know what to tell. Uh, it has been 83 days, but tears haven't come to my eyes for any of these sessions. And that too for dreaming. I'm a dreamer. I dream all the day. And your words really inspired. So, thanks a lot for being here. Dear Chris, like, very great insights again from you. Patty, I don't know, like, I need to look for your date before my 100th day goes. One more session. I'll call you after this. Uh, and thanks to Beatrice for that wonderful question, and all the listeners out there. Thanks a lot for coming in. And yes, I'm an entrepreneur, and it's a blessed moment to see someone who has traveled that journey for 52 years. That's my dream too. Since it's a time to end and got a lot to learn today, I would like to tell what I always tell: dream big, aim high, start small. Start very small so that you can easily focus on what you're doing. Start very small so that you can easily build a discipline around what you're doing. Start very small so that you can easily master what you're doing. Once you do these three things, you are ready to be a scalable startup. And there your journey as a high performance entrepreneur starts. Before ending, one more thing. Like when I wanted to start this audio room on the first day, I didn't know how I'll reach the 100th day. But I'm blessed to be on the 83rd day. January, when my shop closed, it was fully dark. But next month is a new January with lots of hope and lots of things happening. I never knew that Chumawa could expand to 40 countries. I never knew that there would be volunteers or there would be people who I never knew. All the panelists here have come through only this event. And I never knew why I started this, but I've got a lot of relationships, connections from this audio room. So again, blessed and with all the gratitude to the Almighty. And a dreamer from this part of the world with lots of love to you all. Till we see tomorrow. Signing off, PC Kabir. In the count of three, we are closing the room. Everyone can tell bye bye. Three, two, one.